Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious Podcast, our Wednesday Wisdom Edition, where we're going to dive into something a little bit deeper than we do on Mondays and Fridays and share with you, which could be the most interesting podcast we've done, just from a sheer standpoint. We're talking about obscure sports. Now, if you want something bad enough, anything can become a sport. And this week's podcast is a perfect example of that. There are over 800 plus sports played around the world. And let's be honest, you've probably never heard of half of them. But joining me here today is my co founder, my co host, Scott. And we're going to bring you some that you have never heard of and some you have never even dreamed of, even if you tried. So let's dive into talking about obscure sports. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here to highlight some of these extreme sports that, you might only see on the Ocho.
Some of these I don't even think are on the Ocho. I have never even heard of some of these, and doing research, I was cracking up that these are sports.
Like you said, if you want something bad enough, you can make it a sport. So
This is a true statement. It's a true statement. Let's start off with I want to hear your favorite on your list.
I mean, there's so many to choose from. I think I'm going to go with one that was actually sent to us by a very loyal last night's game listener. Shout out to
Alyssa.
She texted us with the Pillow Fighting Championship, which, if you've seen it, it's pretty intense, pretty exciting. So I think I'm going to have to start here.
Now, I dove into this after Alyssa sent this to us.
Yes.
These are premier, as they call it, premier professional fighters. They come from various mixed martial arts, but they're also former NCAA athletes, former and current UFC combatants. But then they also try to tell me that this is an all ages friendly combat sport. I'm pretty sure I don't want to see a 5-year-old going up against a UFC version of a 5-year-old.
I mean, maybe that's the amateur division that they have. You start them young. I mean, we've all been pillow fighting for decades now. So
True.
Start them young. You've got a pillow fighting prodigy at 5 years old.
I mean,
get them in there, get them while he's young and swinging that pillow.
So I want to give people some of these rules around it. It's a points-based system, similar to boxing, right? The strikes have to be at full force to count for points. You get points for what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say flair, but that's not the right word that I want to use. Basically, people are doing flips and different things. Showmanship, that's the word I'm looking for. You get points for showmanship. But let's review some of the do's and don'ts of pillow fighting championship, which you may have seen on ESPN, by the way. ESPN did air the pillow fighting championships. So some of the do's: swing a pillow at full force, dodge and avoid strikes to the head, incorporate showmanship into a fight, perform special moves as defined, as expected, of course, only strike with a pillow, and hold all straps on your pillow with one hand.
I mean, that's a pretty long list of things to do.
Yeah, and don'ts include: don't obviously hit the opponent with any part of your body, don't drop your pillow, don't grab the opponent or their pillow, no pushing, no charging the opponent, and no two-handed overhead strikes, because there is safety involved here.
That could be deadly, I think. Two-handed overhead strike with the pillow.
Howdy die. It was a two-handed strike overhead with a pillow.
A pillow.
I feel like for part of this research, this podcast, we both need to go and participate in these events.
Breaking news, I just registered to fight, should there be one coming up soon. So
Perfect. Have you been practicing?
For many years, yes. More of a hobby, but now that I've realized that this could be my dream.
I love it. Okay, so you picked extreme or pillow fighting championships. Mine that I came across that I am dying over. I thought this would, first of all, be a sport mom could participate in because she does love to iron. But it's extreme ironing. And these are people who take ironing boards into remote locations and iron items of clothing. And as their sort of tagline is, It's the latest dangerous sport that combines the thrill of an extreme outdoor activity with the satisfaction of a well-pressed shirt.
And this is pretty extreme. Is there a governing body over this that we know of?
Uh, there is. It was
Okay.
extreme ironing. In case you're wondering, was started in England in 1997, and it basically includes taking this ironing board to extreme locations. And I'm not joking. When I was doing the research, it's up the top of a mountain. Um, it's skiing. It's while skydiving. It's while scooting or canoeing. There was a picture of someone tethered to a back of a yellow New York City taxi cab
Hmm.
ironing. So it's basically any extreme scenario and you have to iron.
This sounds like one of the most dangerous sports you could ever participate in.
Like ride a hot tool
Yeah,
in a weird spot, like water skiing and ironing.
water or ironing while tethered to a taxi cab.
Wha what? I don't like to iron in the comfort of my own hotel room or my own
Yes,
house, let alone iron while strapped to a New York City taxi cab.
I don't like to iron whatsoever, so this would be very challenging for me. Do they
Uh,
do they judge the quality of the ironing, or you just have to actually just do it?
I'm assuming you have to survive.
Okay,
Um, but one, I knew that you would love this. There is a German ironist, and he's probably since retired, but his name is Hot Pants.
that's his birth name, I assume.
I'm assuming it's on his birth certificate. And the
So,
Germans have really adopted this, right? They've really taken it on, and it's led to the development of I may not pronounce this right, but ESO ironing, ESO, a
mhm.
branch of extreme ironing that combines ironing with the principles of meditation.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So you can iron while meditating.
I'm imagining, I mean, mom might argue that that it is meditative to sort of iron.
Sure.
She likes to vacuum, right? And there's
Mhm.
a motion to that that's very similar to ironing, and you get something out of it at the end. So maybe this is a new meditation thing we have to try.
Okay, that's cool.
I think for the release of this podcast, we're gonna have to figure out how to do some SO ironing
Okay,
meditation.
I'll see if I can maybe iron on a cliff or something as well.
Do you think that if I logged into my Peloton app and went under meditation, they would have an SO ironing meditation?
I mean, this if they added it, this could be something that could save their stock
It
if
could be.
this was an option.
Peloton, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Allie Love. Just throwing it out there. Okay, so we have this list that we've come up with. Talk to me about
Mhm.
the next one on your list that is just a highlight to you.
I mean, it's not as intense as extreme ironing, but it's an event that I've actually attended. It's called Slam Ball,
Okay. Talk about slam ball.
and Slam Ball took place last summer in Las Vegas, and it should be coming back this summer. It's a combination of basketball, football, hockey, and trampolines.
Really? I've
So
not
you've
watched
got
this sport.
it's a basketball court with trampolines with like glass boards like hockey around it, and the physicality of football.
Okay,
And
so are there
it's
multiple trampolines, and am I trying what's
yes,
the goal, to make a basket? Like, make a basket?
yeah, you're essentially playing basketball on a basketball court that has multiple trampolines on it that allow you to dunk and block people and make obscure passes. It's very intense, it's very physical and exciting. It's one of the most exciting sports you could ever imagine.
I feel like sport was invented by like an NBA mascot. You know, they always do the
Mhm.
trampoline, slam dunk stuff that was so
Yes.
is are there helmets involved?
Yes, they were like not hard helmets, but
Like an American Gladiator type of helmet?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it's probably wearing wear very little padding, which is kind of concerning given the physicality.
Is there a foam pit involved in this? Because I feel like they need that.
There is not, no. This is
Okay.
hardcore, full on, full contact basketball, hockey, football, trampolines.
That is fascinating. I have not watched this. Will you keep us posted when this happens again? I mean, I think
Yes, it was middle of the summer last year, so I think it's probably coming back middle of summer.
I'd
And
say
it's
I'd like to take the tiny human, but I have a feeling he'd get way too many ideas.
yeah, this is probably not a good idea for him to see because it would it would just blow his mind, and he'd want to
He'd be
become
jumping off the
professional.
counter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slam baller. And there's no foul shots like there is in basketball. It's like more like a penalty shot where the guy who gets fouled gets to try to dunk on one defender
Oh, so
on
interesting.
trampolines. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Okay, this sounds like one of the world's dumbest sports in terms of safety.
It
Maybe not
is.
as dumb as extreme ironing, but
Given the physicality, it's not very smart to participate in. No.
okay, don't sign up for that one. We'll go send you back for extreme pillow fighting.
Yes.
No. Speaking of one that's not real safe, in fact, it actually lost its sort of sanction because of how dangerous it can be to be a spectator, is cheese rolling.
Can you
Yeah.
further
Cheese.
expand on how it lost its sanction?
So cheese rolling is where every year grown adults, primarily men, congregate in a village in England. England, you've
Mhm.
created a lot of really interesting sports here, according to us this week. But they roll, it's at the end of May, they roll a 9-pound wheel of cheese down a
Mhm.
steep slope. And essentially, you win by being the first person over the line at the bottom of the hill, and you win the cheese. So the challenge with that is the cheese gets a head start, and 1 second head start, and it can reach high speeds, which are enough to knock over and injure a spectator. Hence, while this is no longer has an official management and organization because of the unsafe qualities of this.
Mhm.
But yes, this the cheese gets going at quite a rate of speed as it rolls down a very uneven and steep hill.
And I think definitely seen clips of this on like Sports Center, right, with people just their bodies tumbling down the hill,
Mhm.
chasing cheese, probably risking their lives and their.
For a 9-pound cheese that rolled down the hill in grass and dirt already.
If you win, if you beat, do you get to eat the cheese?
Yeah, that's the prize is the cheese.
Okay, I mean that's kind of worth it. Do
I
they have a
mean, it
dairy free cheese wheel of cheese we can chase?
no, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that this is a vegan there's not a vegan cheese category. There is a women's category and a men's category, but not vegan cheese category. But if you're
Well, I
paying
think
attention, things are going plant-based. If you wanna add spice up your tournament maybe a little bit,
we
maybe the
may have
vegan
found.
cheese will be nicer when it hits you.
I think so.
It won't hurt as
Absolutely.
bad.
I think maybe found my calling a vegan cheese chaser.
After you try out pillow fighting and extreme ironing meditation. Um, since you're a big hockey fan, I've got another one for you.
Okay.
Flaming Puck Unicycle Hockey. Mhm. I know you're
I
gonna
just
be shocked.
what it sounds like.
Yep, you're gonna be shocked that this is popular in Canada and invented
Okay.
in Toronto. It's a summer hockey game played on unicycles on pavement with a special puck that is dunked into flammable fluid and set on fire just before play. And it makes a real nice blue flame line as you hit it to start the game. And it's regular ice hockey rules, sticks down. So the rules are the same. It's just on a unicycle with so think polo, like classy, right? You're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna play on a horse. This one's on a unicycle with a flaming puck.
I was gonna ask obviously if it was played on ice, but I guess you can't play on ice with a flaming puck.
Well, it's a summer sport, Scott. We have to
Yeah,
we have to use it to fill the void during hockey season.
when there's
Of
no
course.
hockey to play and you've got to hit a puck somehow. Jump on your unicycle.
I mean, my flaw on this is I don't know how to ride a unicycle. I mean, it'd be all for it, but maybe it's safer to be up. I mean,
Is there like unicycle penalties and things like that? I assume.
yes, of course.
My mind's
You
just
know,
kind of blown at the visuals of this. I'm gonna have to maybe get a
the, vi-
subscription to their website so I can watch.
the visuals of all of these sports, let's be honest, are
Yes.
just phenomenal. I mean, we talked about a guy being tethered to a taxi cab ironing.
Was he on a skateboard or anything? You
No,
know?
he was literally like,
Unicycle?
like the bikes go on the back of your car. It
Yeah.
was that, but just with bungee cords. And he was sort of leaning out over and ironing.
It's pretty extreme.
It is pretty extreme. What else is on your list? I have so many good ones, so I don't want to send us over too much, but I have so many that I've really much enjoyed.
I've got one more it's very extreme, maybe not as dangerous as some of the other ones that we've discussed. And it's an American classic. It's the Mullet Championships,
Ooh, yes.
which has been heavily featured on the Ocho
Mm-hmm.
when they show all these obscure sports. And I think this is probably one of the most distinguished honors you can win in America.
Now, tell people the Ocho. Tell people what the Ocho is before we talk about that, but then we can dive into mullets.
So the Ocho is usually around August 8th. It's inspired by the Ocho from the Dodgeball movie, which shows obscure sports. And for 24 hours, the Ocho takes over ESPN and they show all these ridiculous sports that we've been discussing, all in
And
one
some of them,
place for people to see.
and some of them aren't ridiculous. Dog surfing is a lot of fun. It's
That
probably
was,
one of the more boring ones to watch, in all fairness, but
I mean, it was pretty electric watching last year. But yeah, there's just so many random sports they show, and some are dangerous, some are not. And I think, to me, the Mullet Championships is one of the most electric events you could possibly have.
now, if I remember correctly, there's a children's division.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
There's some prodigies with mullets out there that need to get the recognition they deserve.
Is there a cash prize in that? I'm assuming.
I mean, I don't remember exactly. I assume there's cash, but just the bragging rights to go out to bars and tell ladies that you're the mullet champion would probably be worth it.
I mean, they'd be like, "Wait, I've seen you somewhere. Are you a mullet champion?
Are you the mullet guy?
Are you the mullet guy?"
Actually, I am. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, I will. I will sign your arm.
Yes.
Now, I have what I want to wrap us up with, but I'm also going to give a shout out to a couple that we don't have time to talk about. Cardboard tube fighting,
Mm-hmm.
like the cardboard tube, like your wrapping paper. That's an actual league. As well as where Excel World Championship. That's the actual program, Excel. I would be terrible at that. And then pack burro racing was on my list to talk about. And also ice yachting. So we're going to give an honorable mention to those.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to wrap us with wife carrying. And so this is a contest. It's a Finnish tradition that's been around since 1992-ish. And participants carry their wives or their neighbor's wife through an obstacle track, either piggyback, fireman's carry, or Estonian style, which I should probably look up because I don't actually know what that means. And the prize is the wife's weight in beer.
So that's quite the conundrum, right? You probably want to have a lighter
Right?
wife, but you'd also like to have a heavier wife for beer.
Yeah, because you get more beer.
That's a lot of strategy behind this. Actually, now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it.
There are helmets, and I just looked up what Estonian style was.
Mm-hmm.
It's the wife hangs upside down with her legs around the husband's shoulders, holding on to his waist. So basically, her butt is in his head, if that gives you a visual. Yeah. So that is wife carrying. But in case you don't win the actual obstacle course,
Mm-hmm.
there are other prizes for most entertaining couple, best costume, and the strongest carrier.
Do they all get beer as well? Do we know?
I don't know. It didn't say. It just said that there were prizes, special prizes, which I'm assuming is maybe a pint of beer.
I mean, that's all worth it as well.
I mean, there you have it. Even if you
And it
finish
doesn't
dead
have
last,
to be your wife. Would you let somebody else's husband carry your wife
you
for beer?
can. Yeah. I mean,
I mean, if you get to split beer with that guy, I guess it's worth it.
I guess, right? I mean, you think about it, if you maybe their wife is like 100 pounds. I
Mm-hmm.
am not 100 pounds. So maybe that gives us a little bit of a variation on the weight of beer we get at the end.
Yeah,
But 100 pounds of beer is better than no beer.
yeah. I think that's a pretty safe strategy.
So Well, I look forward to seeing you participate in pillow fighting championship, maybe some ironing meditation. I will not be participating in pack burro racing or wife carrying, maybe cardboard tube fighting. Um, cheese rolling, and if you get the vegan cheese championship, I'm in.
Okay, stay tuned for that one.
Stay tuned. Well, thanks for sharing the most obscure sports that we can find and we could think of. I look forward to the Slam Ball Championship over the summer as well. So
Yes.
stay tuned. Follow us on social at Last Night's Game for all the excitement surrounding these sports as they continue to arise. Because typically this kind of stuff comes up during the summer when sports are a little bit slower. So stay tuned for that. And of course, look out in August for ESPN The Ocho.
Thank you.